How many times have you thought, how did he get an A? Be honest with yourself. When you get a test back, seeing a bright red C scribbled out and circled at the top of your paper, the first reaction you have is to look around and see what everyone else got. It's only natural. So you crane your neck and try to see what your neighbor got without making it too obvious. What? He got an A? I know for a fact he was out all weekend partying. That makes for a really long school year. To study your butt off day after day, not get any further ahead. And maybe it's just in certain subjects, like math or chemistry or physics. Chances are you're pretty good in some things, but not in others. Let me share a little secret with you. It's not that you can't get good grades or that you're not smart enough. And really, it doesn't matter how many hours you study or whether you pay attention in class at all. Of course, paying attention in class helps, but it's not required. You're getting bad grades for one reason. You're studying all wrong. The way students learned just a few decades ago no longer applies. I mean, the world is a very different place right now. Our brains are wired differently. We react to things differently. And all this has been brought on by computers and the internet. Think about it. You've got a short attention span. You're used to having information delivered to you quickly. So when asked to spend an hour or more sitting in a classroom, there's a huge mental hurdle that you have to jump through. Secondly, there are three learning styles. There's oral, which is auditory, there's visual, and then there's kinesthetic. You are dominant in one of those three. Everyone is. The problem is that your dependence on these three learning styles has multiplied because of the amount of information that you take in every single day. You take in way more information than anyone ever has in the history of the world. All thanks to Facebook and mobile phones and advertising, all of these messages are competing for your mental bandwidth all the time. There is a solution though, and I'll get to that in a minute. My name is Jason Drone. For the past 12 years, I've been fascinated by learning. Fascinated is actually a little bit soft, actually. Addicted is more like it. I know that might sound a little weird, but here's the thing. I'm addicted to anything that will let me get more out of life. And learning is one of those things. Back in high school, I was an average student. I got C's and D's on tests and was ashamed to show my mom my papers. There were even a few semesters that I was on academic probation and couldn't play football, which really burned me. I played outside linebacker, and my sophomore year, my team lost the district playoff game, largely because I was just sitting on the sidelines. That's when I decided that my studies had to be one of my top priorities. So I started reading every book there was on getting good grades, speed studying, and speed reading. I thought that if I could get through the material faster, I wouldn't have to study that much. And I was partially right. What I didn't know was that no matter how fast you could get through material, the secret to good grades was in how you cataloged that material in your brain. And after I figured out how to study correctly, I started getting A's on tests, and being suspended from the football team was no longer an issue. Fast forward a few years. After high school graduation, I decided to take a job working for Pepsi. I just couldn't turn down the paycheck. In fact, I was actually making more than my dad at the time, right out of high school. Not bad, right? Well, turns out, driving a Pepsi truck for 70 hours a week just wasn't in my wheelhouse. So I decided that the only thing I could do was to go to college. But after being out of school for 4 years, I struggled. I had to start from ground zero and relearn how to learn. So what did I do? I broke out my notes from years ago when I was in high school, and I started applying the same strategies that made me successful before. And it didn't take that long. Within a few weeks, I was back to acing exams while still working 70 hours a week and taking classes full time. Talk about stacking the deck against myself. And I graduated with 2 degrees, one in MIS and one in business, in 4 years. A feat by any standards since I was still a full-time Pepsi employee. So why am I telling you all this? Well, first of all, I want you to know that I'm not terribly brilliant or gifted. I figured out how to learn, and by following some specific strategies was able to boost my GPA almost overnight. Secondly, it's important to know that what I'm about to share with you can work for you, regardless of whether you're in high school, college, or you're returning to the classroom after a long hiatus. In fact, my mom went back to school after 40 years, graduating with a bachelor's degree and then a master's degree, all because I taught her how to learn again. It had been a long time since she sat in a classroom, but by understanding her learning style, she was able to work a full-time job and maintain a 3.2 GPA with a full-time course load. Now, let's talk about what I like to call learning patterns. In today's world, education is based around principles that applied 40 years ago. Teachers teach the same way. Students are expected to learn the same way. In fact, you've been taught how to learn at a very young age. You sit in class, you should be attentive, you take lots of notes, you go home to do your homework, and then you pass the test. And that's the typical learning pattern. The problem is that this particular action set doesn't fit in your lifestyle. Long classes beg for bored students and unhappy educators. It's impossible to be attentive for any more than about 12 minutes at a time. The teachers and professors know this? Of course they do. But they get paid the same whether they zip through the material and make it fun or drone on and on through it, boring the hell out of the students. And then notes. What do you take notes on? How do you process the notes after class? How do you catalog them? Do you write down everything the teacher or professor is saying? Or just the parts that you think will be on the test? What if I told you that there was actually a very simple way of knowing what was going to be on the test? Would that change the way you took notes? Of course it would. And your study habits. How effective do you really think night-long study sessions are? Not very. Trying to cram all that information in your brain so that you can spew it out the day of the test is next to worthless. There are a few very specific rules that you need to follow when it comes to studying and preparing for an exam. One of them being the use of color. We call them rainbow notes. Rainbow notes are where you use color to denote new information. You basically mark up the new ideas and critical information, terms or developments in whatever you're studying. It's a quick way of getting through pages and pages of notes without trying to cram all the garbage you already know into your head. And finally, passing the test. Let's face it, you're probably not going to use anything you learn out in the real world. So the only reason to study at all is to pass your exams. And of course, the grades you get will be reflected in the job that you receive upon graduating college, or the pay raise you get when you get your diploma. The problem with tests is there is considerable anxiety around taking them. You might know everything there is to know about your subject, but the minute your teacher puts the exam down in front of you, all that goes right out the window. There's actually a very simple breathing technique that you can use to recenter yourself and organize all that information in your head, and once you do, it's like magic. You open your eyes and all of a sudden the questions on the exam make sense. Believe me, the working long days at Pepsi forced me to perfect this little trick. The bottom line, everything you know about learning and getting good grades is wrong. It's not your fault either. It's just that you were taught the wrong way to learn and succeed in school. And with a little bit of rewiring, you can get back on track to acing tests, without long nights of cramming, without needing tutors, without putting in days and days of studying. In fact, if you follow the Good Grades Guide, you'll be studying less, getting better grades, and you'll finally be confident in your ability in the classroom. The Good Grades Guide is the exact formula that I used both in high school and college as an adult student to get A's and B's on tests without having to study long hours or work with tutors. In it, you'll discover 22 study tricks that you can start using immediately to get a bump in your GPA the minute you employ them. You'll also learn your study persona and why it's the key to getting good grades, because you'll know how to organize information, use your time most efficiently, and how you learn. You're also going to discover what you need to do if you play sports or in any extracurricular activities, including how you need to study for maximum effectiveness so you don't waste your time for poor results. You're also going to learn the secret formula to unlock your memory so you can pack the most information into your brain in the shortest period of time. You're going to learn how to capitalize on long-term memory and know where to use it so you can get the best grades all year long. You're also going to discover why neurons, in understanding them, will allow you to be a better learner both inside and outside the classroom. You'll read some memorization tricks that will lock pertinent material in your brain in 1/8 the time it takes normal people. You're also going to learn why your own style of learning is paramount to your success in the classroom and what to do to create an environment that is specific to your own style. You'll discover why rewarding yourself will keep you fresh and energized and how to do it correctly so you continue being excited by learning and excelling in the classroom. You're also going to learn how to pace yourself and the importance of sleep for brain retention. If you aren't doing this correctly, you're getting at least 2 letter grades below what you should be. You're going to learn how to handle stress correctly so that it actually fuels you rather than paralyzes you. So the next big test you take, you can actually do your best rather than just so. You're going to discover how to get through common learning disabilities such as aphasia, dyslexia, ADHD, and still get good grades in school, and so much more. In short, the Good Grades Guide is a complete resource for showing you how to get awesome grades, whether you're in high school or college, as either a traditional or a non-traditional student, meaning you're returning after an absence in the classroom. Now, who the Good Grades Guide is for? The Good Grades Guide is perfect for high school or college students who are suffering from poor grades regardless of the situation. Sports, activities, difficult material, poor study habits. This guide will break you out of whatever rut you're in. This book is also perfect for parents of students who want their kids to get better grades and are looking for different ways of empowering them. This book will arm you with all the information you need to make studying fun, interactive, and successful. And returning students are going to love this book too. So returning students who have chosen a different career path before going to school. Perhaps you're going back to college for your job, to get a pay raise, or to learn a different skill set. This book will help you arm yourself with the right information in today's world to get good grades starting now. The Good Grades Guide is delivered electronically, so you don't need to worry about shipping and handling or waiting a long time to receive the book. We know that you want to start getting better grades now, so we made it as user-friendly as possible. The ebook itself is 61 pages, packed with all the information you need to become a better student and start blowing your teachers away with your grades. It works for any subject, any grade level, and will make you a better student for the rest of your life. You'll quickly be able to remember more, take tests without anxiety, and learn quicker than you ever have been able to before. And of course, that will be reflected in your grades. In fact, you may even find that you love learning. I know that sounds a little weird right now, but it's surprising how many people write in saying that they've fallen in love with learning new things because they're getting better grades. It starts to get fun. The Good Grades Guide is everything you need to know to start getting good grades immediately. It doesn't matter if you're getting D's and F's now or if you're just looking for a more efficient way to study. And if you buy today, the Good Grades Guide is yours for only $37. All you have to do is click the Add to Cart button below this video to get started. You will receive the ebook immediately with instructions on how to download and open it. And in the next hour or so, you'll be well on your way to passing exams with flying colors. To make this as no risk for you as possible, we proudly offer a 60-day money-back guarantee on your purchase as well. If for any reason you aren't getting better grades within 60 days, send us an email. We'll process your refund within 24 hours. We want you to get the best grades in the shortest amount of time possible. That's why we put this training together. All you have to do is click the link below to get started. And just a warning, you will make mistakes. As you know, getting good grades isn't reserved for the brilliant. Some of your friends and classmates are putting in way less work and getting much better grades than you. That's not their fault, it's yours. Take this opportunity and discover how to get better grades by downloading the Good Grades Guide. It's your best chance to acing exams without tons of hassle and effort. So click the Add to Cart button below to get started.